part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
You're listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. I am your host Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the Man of Tomorrow, and with me is always my co-host in red, the Crimson Avenger, if that was his name, but Mr. James Cole, the Man of Steel, the Superman of Red. What's up, man?
The Crimson Chin. Isn't that what that is?
His name is...
how's it going?
His name is Red Crimson.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Staving off a headache.
I feel like that's life.
Sick
man.
kids.
Sick
you
kids.
know? Yeah, sick kids made for a very long day. I took the day off just to take the day off because a couple of kids were supposed to just go to a regular doctor's appointment. And it was just going to be a day off. But then no. Kids are sick, so they all had to go to the kids' urgent care and get prescriptions, and it ended up being a very, very long day.
Well, speaking of long, Titans is back. But it hasn't been as long as it was between season 2 and 3. I just laughed to myself. It's cool.
Oh no, I got you earlier.
But anyways, we have a little bit of news and we'll get into things, but our news is nothing as of this recording, because we kind of weren't recording as quickly as we had originally wanted to. We have a new poster for Shazam! Fury of the Gods, only in theaters March 17th. What do you think about this poster, James?
I mean, I like it. I like the suit. It's got a playful nature, kind of like the first one does. And then, I mean, it's like a sky background, so it's just bright.
Yeah, I like and don't like this poster. Okay, here's why. I feel like it's cool, but the way that it's cropped and the way it looks like he's riding a scooter, which he is riding a scooter, off the side. But the problem is the scooter is so much at the bottom that you almost don't see it, and so much of him is off. Why not just zoom out, shrink him down, so that you can see the actual scooter, and you can see him riding it, instead of having half of him off out of the frame of the poster.
Yeah, I don't think the whole half of him needed to be out.
Yeah,
maybe if he just started to ride out, you got to see 3/4 of him,
and you could actually see the scooter on the ground,
right?
And so I mean that's my issue with this poster. And it's nice to see the suit. I am digging the suit. I just actually restarted rewatching Shazam today with the kids. It's part of our rewatch of everything. And once we see Shazam! Fury of the Gods, then we'll have a talk about which suit's better. Because I like the leanness of the new suit, but I felt the old suit's brighter red. And this little things I'm kind of I'm not sure which wrist cuffs I like more. So I like the hood on the cape though. I miss the hood on the cape. I just thought that was so that's just something. But we also
we've gotten some pretty awesome artwork with the hood on the cape as well.
It just made it something different to set them apart,
Right.
And I like the hood on Black Adam. And then we also got the tease of the DC Universe Multiverse McFarlane Shazam movie figure the same day. It looks cool. I can't wait to pre-order it, and I hope they do the whole Shazam family.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Zachary Levi. I remember when I came across it, and I took a second look at it, a second glance, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's a figure." I scrolling through, and I'm like, "That look." Wait, and then I went back, and I was like, "Yeah, that's a figure."
Yeah,
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good likeness for a 7-inch figure, you know.
yeah, it is, and I can't wait. It'll be the next figure on my shelf of McFarlane movie figures. Right now, I have
Well,
Black
if you're able
Adam.
to get the whole Shazam family in there, and
They get moved. I do one figure per movie on the shelf that I need to retool because it's gonna. I was thinking about like it when I started. I was like, sweet, it was just the Batman. Then I put my blue and red Superman Cavill on there. I was like, all right. And then I got my Black Adam on here. And then I was like, wait, I don't have enough room for like one, maybe two more figures. So I'll put Shazam on here, and then I'll have to figure something else. I'll have to retool my shelves. Oh joy. But and then so that's all kind of real nude. And then we're just gonna get into kind of some Titans talk because yeah, we'll save it because we're gonna talk Titans. The new season just dropped, the first 2 episodes on HBO Max. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something we haven't done in a little while. And that's jump back into reviewing Superman Son of Kal-El number 16. This one's been out for a little bit. We hadn't got to just because of, specials and life. And,
well, with the things they've got going on, we also don't have like a bunch of extra books, a couple of books a month, really.
yeah. And so one announcement we do want to bring up is James and I were talking about it. With the introduction of Ultra, we're going to continue to review the books that are coming out, but we're just going to kind of be probably about a month behind the current book because neither of
Well,
us
considering recording today, honestly, we are a month behind.
exactly just with the way life flows and the way some of the stories are, we'll be up on our stories, but I mean, come on. Books hitting 1 month after they hit physical is not that bad. And just the cost saving of trying to keep up with all the stories, like, you know, The World's Finest and some of these other titles and things. We're just going to shift more to Ultra, and we'll just be reviewing from the app as more so than reviewing the newest books. Yeah.
Yeah, catching up, and it also will give us a chance to, I think, pick other books, other storylines to look at down the line, to talk about something that we haven't before.
Yeah, like I'm kind of interested, honestly, in this. I want to start reading the Batman versus or the Robin versus Batman, whatever it is, and the Black Adam one, that new Black Adam book. I would like to read that too. So
Yeah, I actually read 4 issues of that Black Adam on here, and that Batman versus Robin I haven't started yet, but I have it in my list. One of my few lists going on. But they just dropped a second issue of Batman versus Robin today, so on the Ultra.
sweet, I saw that because they do send out like a newsletter flyer that says new on Ultra, and I'll tell you. So now let's jump into Superman Son of Kal-El Part 2, or Son of Kal-El number 16, Kal-El Returns Part 2. Titled Reunion. James, you want to take us there?
Yeah, so we get we open up on John out in the field where he's gotten some of his super hearing, and you get Clark, you get the Lois and Clark black suit from that Road to Rebirth run that was really good.
From Dan Jurgens, amazing.
Yes, by Dan Jurgens. Yeah, and this honestly is one of the best black suits and one of the most awesome figures from McFarlane I've seen.
He's
Just throwing that out there.
He's right. They're both right.
He's yeah, they're both right. So Clark is comforting John, and he says, "Focus on something small, something close." And then you get John's narration saying that he focused on his father's heartbeat, steady and strong, and it stopped his from beating so fast. And then he wakes up, and it's been months since he heard his father's heartbeat. He gets up, he gets dressed. Love that when he gets dressed, he just puts on his Superman costume.
I mean,
It's what he wears every day on the job. Lois is working on a story. Lex Luthor Tech has gone missing from a prison lockup. There's a nice moment here where he talks about her coffee being cold and that Clark used to reheat it for her every day. John does that for her. She's my hero. John, he says he starts he starts every day the same way. I start by choosing a direction and flying fast and far. And then I look farther, searching for any sign of my dad. And then I continue his work and my own. And he starts his patrol. He goes to a child's hospital, wearing a mask for everybody, which is a really nice, just really nice community, bringing the real world community into this book, those who so choose, and especially in a children's hospital where children are having medical problems. Talks about reforestation plans in the Amazon,
which is awesome.
Yep, I love that. He is having lunch with Jay, and they're discussing some He's discussing some Bendix issues, trying to get the country and families back on track and together. And then he does a little crime fighting with Robin. It's always good to see John and Damian together.
Yes, it is.
And John's just saving the day everywhere. Sinkholes, storms, volcanoes, fires. He's saving the day everywhere. This is a really nice moment because he shows up to a person's house. Somebody who, when he was overcharged, he saved them and broke their arm. And here he is actually here to apologize. They have a really nice exchange. The person's like, "You saved my life." Like he didn't he doesn't think anything of it. I'm sure he's just overwhelmed that Superman is there. He's apologizing. He's actually having a conversation, not in and out, because his life has been saved. I think it was a really awesome moment. But he does say, "But I guess there is one thing," and Superman draws and signs on his cast.
Yeah, I like what he says when he says, "They'd still be pulling parts of me out of a truck if it wasn't for you."
John stops at home, plays fetch with Krypto, reheats his mother's coffee again. And then he shows up at Lex's. I like this. "Would you like a spotter, Lex?" And just one-handed grabs the barbell out of his hands. But says, "Your father had the decency to hover at my window and judge me from the outside." He says, I'm not my father. No, you have far less respect for personal space.
I love it.
Yeah. They have a little exchange. He listens to his heartbeat, and he believes he's telling the truth. He hears an explosion, and John is gone. They're looking in. He knows that the tech has gone missing and what it's for. He says it says Red Sin here. Later on, I think it's supposed to be Red Sun. Maybe it's a misprint. Because I think they do talk about Red Sun later. Like Red Sun Tech.
Yeah.
No, it does say Red Sin on the back page. Maybe I was just subconsciously seeing Red Sun myself. It is
quite
Red
possible.
Sin.
It is quite
yes,
possible.
I think it was subconsciously. But again, he's Lex Luthor's kind of back to his old ways. This alien that's tricked the world into thinking he's a teenager. I will make the world see him for what he is. You know, kind of what he did to his father years ago.
Mm-hmm. Backfire.
Right. So there's an explosion at the Supermax prison, Stryker's Island. He goes in. He is rescuing survivors first, putting out fires and rescuing survivors first. When when a survivor attacks him, and it appears that the survivor is being mind controlled, which is true by the Ultra Humanite.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. It's really cool, you know, how these characters have gone like generations, because the Ultra Humanite was the first superpower being that Superman ever fought.
Yes. And then Ultra Humanite throws John off to where he's hearing everything.
Yeah, he's putting all of these doubts and things in his head. All the things that we've seen, you know, everything that they're screaming at Superman in BVS
Mm-hmm.
is what we're seeing here. What he's projecting into his head. So he super speed. He runs off, reconnects the power the collar that takes away his powers. The psionic dampener, that's what it's called. Reconnects it to the power and snaps it back on to Ultra Humanite's neck, depowering him. He notices Metallo, which is a kind of a connection to Kal-El Returns, because it is both Action and Superman Son of Kal-El books that are connected. So, and Metallo has appeared in this storyline.
Mm-hmm.
He is listening to Ultra Humanite talk to him. Says, "Do you realize there's one reason to release a being with a kryptonite heart? Someone wants you dead, Child of Steel." He says, "And I don't blame them. You hear a night." And I liked how they did it. They a little thump thump in his ear, tiny words, and he says, "I have to go." He's like, "I'm talking, boy," and John is gone. He can hear all the things, the doubts, the fear, the hatred, but there's a sound I can hear above all that, a sound I haven't heard in a long time, a sound that drowns out all the ugly thoughts put in my head. And thump thump, he runs and he hugs his father. Superman's back.
Mm-hmm. I just love the last pages. "I know, son," and it says, "I'm safe."
Yeah. And then we have a dialogue between some people. Doomsday 88, Lex is right,
Clark Kent.
and Clark Kent, and Red Sin. And he says, I can make him less special.
And there we go.
And there is Superman, son of Kal-El. The beginning of our next villain, our next challenge for Jonathan Kent.
And we only got a couple more issues left of this run.
18. Number 18. So actually after the release of 17, only one more in.
And we'll get into the new era of Superman the next year. That is going to be interesting as we have a couple different titles and very exciting. Looking forward to it. So. All right. Still with me, James?
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So now we're going to get into Titans season 4. Titans are back. And before we jump into the episode, we hadn't talked about this yet, but they released, feels like forever ago, but we go in these spurts where we get news updates, and then nothing. And then we try to keep on everything, but life and podcasting and specials and so much. But we got the Titans season 4 poster. And I have to go back here through my pictures to find it. And what did you think of the poster?
I am actually going back myself.
Because I'll say this, it's interesting because I said to you and Brian in the chat, I'm like, I kind of remember exactly what Donna Troy decided to do when she was brought back to life. Because we had this really big team of Titans, and now we've shrunk it down. And the poster, the city looks good. Dick looks good. Mother Mayhem up top looks cool. Tim looks like he's not even a real person. Connor's face looks weird. Raven's face looks weird. They look like they're drawn and not.
Yeah, they're overly airbrushed.
And then Starfire looks odd. But if you took out everyone, just left Titans and had Dick there, it would be fine. But Garfield in his full suit looks sweet.
I'm interested to see what the idea behind that full suit is, because we don't know yet how it operates with him.
Yeah,
which we'll get to talk about. I think it looks really cool. It looks, like you said, basically everything just seems like over airbrushed, over art, over photoshopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, the only two that look like people are Starfire and Dick, and even both of them have too many effects, too much extra lighting and things. Dick looks like he's lit up from both sides and the front. It's crazy.
It actually looks like a very poor job, I'll be honest. For it to be the official from HBO, I've seen people do better jobs independently, just making fan edited things that look better. And so, not to bash on Titans, but come on.
I mean, the city looks good. It's Metropolis. You got the Daily Planet. You're looking up at the tall skyscrapers. And then you just get the silhouette of Mother Mayhem back there. And some runes on the ground.
We also got a Titans Season 4 episode list. There'll be 12 episodes. Episode 1, which we'll be discussing, Lex Luthor. Episode 2, Mother Mayhem. Episode 3, Jinx, which that episode hasn't been aired yet, and I already have an issue with it, but we'll wait, and we'll talk about it later. Episode 4. Yeah, my okay. So I'll just say it now. My thing is they're bringing Jinx in because of magic. Why can't it be Zatanna? Why is this character constantly denied a chance to appear in live action? It's one of the coolest characters. Or like they could have brought in Zatanna and Zatara, but yet nothing.
Yeah, because the one thing Titans does like to do
episode-
is this is a new generation. Like there's a whole generation of heroes that have come before. That have had their
exactly.
world-saving, universe-saving exploits. So, like, to just they always tease at that, but they don't really, and it's always really cool, but it hasn't been pulled into, you know, a large degree.
And episode 4 is Super Mart. Episode 5, Inside Man. Episode 6, Brother Blood. James, take it away.
What, with episode 1?
7.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
1 through 6.
Sorry, I was waiting for it and I didn't see it. Episode 7, Dude, where's my Gar? Episode 8 is Cole's Following. Episode 9 is Dick and Carol and Ted and Corey. Episode 10 is Game Over.
And why can't it be just
Game over, man? Game over.
Exactly. Like you're trying to make all these other fun
Yeah.
anyways.
I mean, when any chance you have the chance to do Bill Paxton, you do it. Episode 11 is Project Starfire. Episode 12, Titans Forever. Well, if that doesn't sound like a spoiler.
Yeah. But so that's the rundown of this season, and we'll pop in. When it comes to Titans, we don't cover episode by episode. We hit on if it's a Superman, Superboy, prominent episode, or we'll touch as the season goes on. Any kind of points we want to discuss or something we'll bring up and talk about. But with this one being titled Lex Luthor and being very super related, we thought we'd just go ahead and tackle season 4, episode 1, Lex Luthor. Now, in this episode, we get the introduction to a new version of Lex Luthor. And it is played by Titus Welliver. And we talked about his casting before. We were excited. I know him from some other shows, but I knew him from Sons of Anarchy, being one of the biggest, and then recently doing the voice of Carmine Falcone in excuse me, in The Long Halloween.
The things I've seen him in, he is a great actor. I really enjoy most of his work, and this is no different. Like, if not for that beard, which is, an aesthetic choice, take it or leave it. But yeah, like he did a fantastic job.
So a quick summary of the episode is: after Superman requests a meeting with Connor, the Titans travel to Metropolis for exclusive access to Star Labs. But when unexpected complications arise, including the reemergence of Lex Luthor, Connor faces a tough decision. And so we'll talk about at the end of the episode. I have some notes on the episode, but just overall, what did you... We don't really have to follow any kind of pattern, just talk about the episode. What did you think?
You know what? I really enjoyed the first episode of the season. I mean, there was a lot, you know, a lot to happen in this season, or in the beginning in this episode. In the beginning.
So when it started, we meet Lex Luthor. We get the great, and most of this from the trailer, and it's like the Temple of
Mhm.
Azarath, like a piece of Azarath. So I had to brush up a little bit on Brother Blood because I wasn't 100% sure everything. Because I remember Brother Blood being on Arrow and what they did there, and then I remember Brother Blood appearing in the Judas Contract Titans animated film. I couldn't remember how much it looks like he's going to tie into Rachel. And I kind of think, like, why didn't they premiere this a month earlier? Because this would have been a really kind of neat superhero season for October with everything that we deal with in this episode. But Lex Luthor, he purchased it. There's a great line about the gods will know your name. And he's like, I believe the gods already know my name. And that's very Lex Luthor. And this, like, okay, like I talked to you before about how, like, if we were charting Lex Luthor's and where they are kind of like in a timeline span. And like, how I always say, like, if we're looking at it, Michael Rosenbaum's at the beginning of a timeline, very young Lex, and then recently John Cryer is kind of like more towards the end, a more seasoned Lex. This Lex is farther beyond that.
Well, yeah, I mean this.
So this is the oldest Lex as far as age, but also probably career. Like as in how long he's been battling Superman and whatever.
Well, yeah, they talk about like his criminal exploits, and they've got files in every friggin' category. They go down a whole list. Everything that he's done, good or bad, I guess.
Yep.
Like the way he stands face to face, like he doesn't even look at Starfire when she comes in.
Dude, that's my favorite scene because I love the way it's filmed where she's battling up to his room and he's just sitting there like about to eat and he's just doing his thing and then eventually just gets up and like what?
Yeah, he gets up, walks over, grabs some whatever, scotch, whiskey, whatever his drink of choice is, brandy, and takes it back over and sits down when Starfire kind of does a Batman hit from the BVS warehouse scene and puts a guy down head first.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even make eye contact with her until everyone has been taken down. I mean, Lex is totally prepared for the moment. He's waiting for Starfire shows up. Dick and Tim are in a building across the street, and he has ninjas go after them.
It's great. Dick's like ninjas.
I hate ninjas.
All right, ninjas.
And then he's like, "Is that it?" And then more people show up. He's, more ninjas.
But we find out Lex basically, so what we find out first is Connor. They're going to Star Labs to meet Superman. Superman wants to meet Connor, and Star Labs has some things for the team. And when we get to Star Labs, first of all, we see a Superman statue outside, which was awesome. And they go inside. We get a great scene of Connor putting on glasses, and Dick kind of being like, "You remind me of him." We find out that Superman's not going to be able to be there. He's off-world saving something, which I kind of get the feeling that could be something foiled by Lex.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, you know what, though? and I think we said this in our chat, or maybe no. You know what? I might have said this to Jamie. I said, when you are playing in the DC world, and you're going to have people who are going to tease Superman and who are supposed to go meet Superman, and then he's not there. I said the reason he's not there is because he's flying off to another galaxy to stop a star from exploding and eliminating all life in that galaxy. Um, and like that's why. Like it's a grand reason why Superman isn't there when he basically made the invitation to come see him. And the reason he's not there is because of something huge. And I said, that's the way you do it. And it was really cool, actually, the way they did it with those glasses. And like they gave a display of him flying from Earth across the stars to a distant star to stop it from going supernova.
Let me ask you a question. Right now, do you think they are going to cast Superman? Or option A, we will see a Superman showed up, a previous actor? Or B, do you think they'll just use Josh and try to dress him up a little different and make him look older?
Well, I do hope it is not that one. The last there. I mean, I suppose, especially if we don't know the future of the show either, and it probably wouldn't be a reoccurring role. So if they cast somebody else in the role for Titans, I mean, it's like a glorified cameo for the most part. I mean, if they pulled Tyler, it would. I don't think it would be. I don't think it would really work. I mean, I think Joshua Orpin's probably as big as Tyler, if not bigger.
But I think, okay, so one, I would love for it to be Tyler, because even if Titans gets canceled, you could pull Josh over and have him appear on Superman and Lois. Because also, if we think about it a little bit harder, we learn that Superman and Lois is on a different Earth. We don't know that much about that Earth's history. We have yet to meet the Lex of that Earth, so it doesn't have to be John Cryer's Lex. We don't know much of that Earth, so it could very well be. But I think the safest route would be to do something with Brandon Routh.
I think Brandon Routh would have the stature opposed to Josh Orpin, like to stand in front of him and be a bigger, like taller, wider, and then also like facial structure wise, it's not too far off that he couldn't be some sort of brother. Yeah, honestly. So, I mean, that would be my best go-to would be, if Brandon Routh, if they got him for it. I mean, if you're going to do like a glorified cameo, why not something like that?
Right, because then it just feels better instead of trying to like force a new actor in. Put Brandon Routh in there in the Kingdom Come styled suit with the altered S, like he was at the end of Crisis. Have him kind of step in there. It would work. You just kind of go with it. Kind of like how they did like stunt casting on Naomi with Superman, and they never really got into it because the show was canceled because it was pure garbage. But instead of bringing someone in like this is Superman and either doing something stupid where we really don't see it, or trying to bring in a new actor to be the role for just something small. I mean, that is a large role. Just like, Ian Glenn was Bruce Wayne, but not Batman. They weren't going to let him be Batman. I just feel like right now with where we are with Superman, like the best thing to do would be to Brandon Routh.
Yeah, and even then, you don't have to do Superman. You could do Clark. But if you did, I mean, it would be like the Superman standing in front of Superboy kind of thing. Like, you would almost need him to. I mean, personally, I don't think you would need him. I think it would be amazing just to see him as Clark Kent talk to him. But also, because he did say, he said, "My name is Connor Kent," and he said, "Huh, you took his last name." So, like, it's kind of a thing. Like, I think it would be okay, in my opinion. I mean, others would disagree that maybe he needs to be Superman to stand up to Superboy in front of him just to look, more imposing to Superboy, but I don't think Superman wouldn't need to.
I think it'd be kind
Yeah.
of cool to just be subtle. Like it's something where like the Titans are doing something. There's Connor's walking, and then Dick kind of steps away from him, and Connor's standing like in a park or something, and then just Clark steps into the frame, and he's like, "I've been wanting to meet you," or something like that, and it's Connor talking to Clark, not Superboy talking to Superman. So that's our little tangent. Now we'll get back to the actual episode that was actually made. We find out Lex Luthor's dying. There's a hint at earlier with the Temple of Azarath that a price has to be paid, and Lex is like, "There's always a price to be paid." We find out that they were trying to do some sort of, he's dying of kryptonite poisoning, and that they were trying to find out like transplant like organs or whatever to keep Lex alive. And like you were talking about Starfire, when they find out that Lex does the high-pitched ring to contact Connor, he wants to meet him. And of course, Dick and Corey go to find out first what Lex is after. And so that's kind of, Connor goes and we go to the Daily Planet. And did it say that dude's name was Jim or Jimmy? Because I've heard some people say that it was, but I didn't catch it.
I did not catch a name, no. I was wondering if it would be, but...
Yeah, I didn't, and I figure if it was, they would have really made sure that it popped, that we knew it was. And then Connor decides he wants to meet Lex, which, is his other parent that he wants to meet. And we've talked before how it would be an interesting storyline, the Jeff Johns Titans run where the Lex side of Connor takes over. But I told Jania, I was like, Superboy Connor is a great character because you have the potential to make a character that's as smart as Lex Luthor with Superman's powers and be the best of both of them.
Right. Which was something they were kind of delving into, I think, last season with the
where he was fixing the
learning complex schematics really quickly and being able to work with them and stuff. Absolutely.
I like that they've kind of shrunk the team down some so we can focus on the team a little bit more, the characters,
which is something I think was necessary. I mean, they've done a lot and they've introduced a lot of people into the Titans, into the show, but they come and go, and they've had very singular focused episodes, a multitude of them. So to have the team working together and being a more focused group of people, I think is a good idea to tell a better story.
True. This is coming from the smart man himself, Mr. James Cole. Okay, so let's now kind of shift a little bit. In this episode, I didn't put a lot at my note. Sorry, little tangent here. We talked about that. Garfield. We didn't talk a whole lot about. So Garfield, that Star Labs, and they give him it looks like just the glove to his suit. They talked about creating his suit, and he puts it on and he goes to transform, and then like he goes to a weird place, and then he comes back and like the lab is destroyed, and they're talking about he was a gorilla, a velociraptor, and he just was out of control. And I got thinking, I got reading, I got thinking about stuff. I wonder if they'll introduce Animal Man and talk about the Red
That was
and
that was
Garfield.
my thought behind it. Because even in the New 52, Beast Boy was red because he was connected to the Red.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, Animal Man was the avatar of the Red, and then Beast Boy, was part of that. He kind of wasn't the avatar, but he was
Yeah, like
connected
his
to it. The Red
abilities
being
were connected
our
to
animals,
the
blood,
blood of the living, the blood of
the
other
living,
animals.
because you have the rot being the decay and death, and then the green being plant life and vegetation. So I was like, okay, with the whole blood theme that we're on with Brother Blood in the cult group. So I was like, okay, that's where I'm kind of feeling with the Garfield stuff. And then we have Joseph Morgan, who's playing
Well,
Sebastian.
so I mean, even before we go there, just with Gar, like, when he does it, everything goes red, so it appears, and then like there's a tree and stuff. Like we say, they give him just like the little gauntlets, like the gloves for his hands, and then when he comes back to, he has the suit on, the full suit on. So like the operation of the suit, like how does that work? You know what I mean? Like, does the suit disappear and retract into the gloves kind of a thing? So when he changes into an animal, his suit is gone, and when he changes back into human form, the suit just reappears? Seeing as all they gave him was the gloves. I was just curious about how that worked, Like, but yeah, he destroyed the lab and everything.
I was thinking to myself, like every superhero, like right now, like their suits like nanotech. That's the workaround. So I'm like, because like you have that scene of the Titans, and I'm like, is Dick gonna be like, my suit's nanotech? Like, how does he get in that thing so fast? Like, that's what I'm waiting for. The thing like, it's my nanotech suit. But we have the Titans together. Now let's step a step back. We have Tim hanging out with them. Tim Drake. And I got a whole rant from Brian about how this is not Tim Drake. And he made a lot of valid points, and I agree with it. Just about he's like this unconfident in how Tim's story played out, and I'm like, okay, but what's bothering me is Tim is not trained at all. He doesn't have a suit of like for armor protection, but they gave him a bow
Well,
staff.
I think the bow staff was nice for the training issue, the thing that Dick says he's going to start.
But the way he's just carrying.
Yeah, but to take Tim in the field, he brought Tim along to the surveilling of Lex Luthor in the building, like.
Yep. And Tim's not even like busting out, showing some great detective skills. So I was like, man, it'd be cool if Tim was like, all right, I'm gonna, start being a detective and talk about things, and we're gonna see that. Like,
yeah, I mean, so like for this episode, he was basically just along for the ride. He's along with the Titans. He hasn't really begun his training yet. He does like. He's like, oh, am I getting a Robin costume in this? Because might I add that the guy at Star Labs who is showing them around, his name is Bernard. And Bernard is Tim's boyfriend in the comics.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was something they put in there.
Something
that's showing growth in him and like current where he is in the comics. But it was just one of those, I'm like, really, Tim? Like, everybody's like, you're there. And also just the way they kind of talk about, you guys are the Titans. Like, do they not want secret identities? Or are they just completely
Right? Like,
in the
yeah,
know?
I don't know who knows identities, but I mean, I guess in this world, Star Labs is a trusted superhero, research company, you know?
I guess because my first thought is, how many companies do you know have like massive turnover? And employment, and you're going to trust these superhero identities to company
Right.
turnover?
Well, I
Come
don't
on.
think
Come on.
Star Labs is in the business of turnover. I think when they want somebody with them, I think they want
Oh, so when they want to quit, they get taken out.
right.
Thanks, James. That's
They're
positive.
eliminated. You quit, you're
You went out of
gone.
Star Labs.
You disappear.
You're dead. You don't exist. You get black bagged.
Pornhub wouldn't even work with you.
That's a Resident
Netflix, yeah.
joke. Anyone's like, what? So, and I guess the other big thing is like I was saying, is like we meet Sebastian, and it's played by Joseph Morgan. Joseph Morgan is an actor that my wife and I really enjoyed when we watched the first 3 seasons of the Vampire Diaries, and he came on and played Klaus in that season, and then played the character in the originals, and he was very good. And then if he also played in the film with Henry Cavill, Immortals, he was one of the soldiers that kind of sold them out and gets beat up horribly.
Yeah,
in that movie.
he's no longer able to sire children. Yeah, right.
He no longer walk. But he does a great job of this kind of character, and I'm very interested to see where he goes. He reminds me of like a little bit of like a Norman Bates type character. And the creepiest part, like I was telling Jania, is when he looks in the mirror and then his head goes down and then the mirror face is still there. And the mirror looks like it's scared. And then the head that comes up is like smiling. Like, it was really creepy and cool.
Yeah, it was a really awesome effect.
And so that's going on, and then at the end of the episode, Lex Luthor, we jump back. He's talking to Connor. He asked Connor to stay. And Connor has this childlike innocence to him, and he wants to know why he was created. And Lex basically says, so that a piece of me could live on and be the best version of me. And then Lex starts spewing blood, and then a snake comes out of his mouth. And Connor grabs it and he visions it and he's spitting blood, and then he's presumed dead. And all the people come busting into his office and see their Superboy. And there's a line that Lex said that when people find out you're part me, all you have to do is like make one mistake, and you're forever looked at negatively. And I told Jania, it's like, does Lex not have cameras there so they could see what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that whatever was happening at all would hold up at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a quick, I thought that him being arrested would be a blip in the overall story.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. A, do you think Lex is really dead? B, do you think it's some part of some sort of ritual?
I do think more of some sort of ritual. I was wondering. I didn't think,
because I told
I didn't think he would be dead.
I was like, what is
but then also I wouldn't put it past this Titans to do that.
Right, that's what I told Janine. I was like, I don't know, they might have the balls to pull it off. And actually, like, because everything we've seen in the trailer with Lex was in that episode. And there was a cool article that Entertainment Weekly just did with Titus talking about how he did read Teen Titan comics and everything, and is the fan. And that comes back to, I really did like his Lex. I just feel like, for me to feel like I can really rank him, I need a little bit more. So I hope he does show back up again.
Even if it was flashbacks, but still. Or like some sort of memory, some sort of implant.
Or something like where, like, you know, we could do something as fun as in Connor's mind, and he's talking to Lex in his mind, as if like it's part of him, you know. But hey, that was a great way to end the episode.
Like, he spews a lot of blood.
I'm in for season 4.
Yeah, we watched the first episode and we were like, wow, like that was actually really good. Like, and you know, Titans has not been one to really disappoint with its season opener, mostly. You know, I would say now 3 out of 4 really nailed it. You know, basically the outlier mostly being 2, which I liked a lot of season 2, but you could tell that there was a separation from when they filmed stuff before, and then they hacked everything.
Season 2 doesn't start till the second episode, because the first episode is such a butchery of some new footage with twisted footage of the original closer of what season 1 was. So I don't even take that as the opener, because it's just a bleh.
And even still, like that second episode of season 2, freaking great.
Exactly. So, that's what I consider the opener. All right. Well, we're going to kind of wrap it up. A little bit of a shorter episode where we wanted to get this out and talk some Titans. We're back, you know, having another DC show in the fold, currently on air right now. For any DC fans out there who don't know, Stargirl season 3, its final season, is a little halfway through its season. We have Pennyworth that's showing on HBO Max. Now Titans is on HBO Max. So we have 3 DC series.
Yep, Titans season 4, part 1, and then
out.
Doom Patrol will be coming in December.
And check them out. And what's interesting, going back to that list that we got, it doesn't say if that's part 1, or if it's gonna be like 6 episodes is part 1, then a break, then 6 episodes for part 2. It just had all 12 episodes. So interesting, right?
Well, I would think that if they got a significantly increased budget, like that was talked about for season 4, that they would put that all into the 12 episodes instead of, you know, trying to do what they did before, but instead stretch it out to double. I mean, we already know that is a problem when it comes to filling out your season with that many episodes.
Just 8 to 12. 8 to 12. 8 makes us feel like we want more. 12 is this like sweet spot. More than that starts to get like, okay, what are we doing?
Well, you know, I'm sure if you had but you know, even if you had 15 episodes and it was released every week, or with maybe like one single break in between, like, but not like show one episode, have 2 weeks, show another episode, take off a month, show another episode, take off 3 more weeks.
Yeah, that's how people get lost, when all this, you know, competitiveness of all these shows and streamers, that's how we get lost. But good night, everybody. This is Tyler and James from the Krypton Report. If you've enjoyed our conversation, shoot us a message on our social medias, our emails. Let us know what you think. If you're excited for Titans, what you want to see from this season. Like, what are some things that you're hoping that happens? I'm hoping that Tim gets in a costume. We get more costume, more action, and that we don't get the tropes of Dick going rogue and the team breaking up. And remember, we're going to press pause and hear a few words from our other podcasts on Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, the Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find out all of our information. $1 a month. You'll get extra special content that you don't get on the main show, like movie commentaries and whatever else comes out of our mouths. So check it out, patreon.com/Krypton Report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network.